We are. There we are. I think we are live right now, Fish. We have another blockbuster. Hall of Famer and probably the greatest catcher of all time, Johnny Bench, joins us, along with the glue that kept the big red machine going, Doug Flynn. We will talk about baseball back then and today with both of them. Plus, we will invite you to a great charity golf event to help our servicemen and women that is being spearheaded by both Johnny and Doug. Plus, we are wrestling with our Schmuck of the Week, and who's got the swag has a mouthful of diamonds. Hi, everybody. Welcome to Daily Fish. John Daly here with Eric Snyder, a.k.a. Fish. We are coast to coast coming to you from Las Vegas and Myrtle Beach. We talk sports, entertainment, and everything in between. You excited tonight, Fish?
A mouthful of diamonds. You're brilliant. Take it away, kid.
All right, buddy, here we go. This is the Daily Grind. Here's what we are grinding on. First, are you ready for a super conference in college football? It looks like the Texas Longhorns and the Oklahoma Sooners are going to leave the Big 12 for the already powerful SEC. Fish, so many implications here. What are you seeing?
Well, I attended the University of Texas, so I have mixed emotions on this whole thing, John. I mean, it's a money grab. ESPN owns the SEC, so imagine the matchups every week. Texas, Florida, Oklahoma. Also, people don't realize that Texas A&M is also in the SEC, so that brings back that huge rivalry they have with my alma mater, University of Texas. But I have mixed emotions. What are you doing to the Big 12? Where does that leave Oklahoma State? So the bottom line is, you're developing super conferences, and what happens if USC and Oregon want to leave the Pac-12 and then go to the Big 12? I mean, then it delineates that conference. So again, it's going to play itself out, but it doesn't happen, I don't believe, until 2025.
Yeah. So, and, you got to wonder, with football and basketball too, is it going to affect basketball? Well, I would think it would be. But can you imagine Oklahoma State not playing Oklahoma, the Sooners and the Cowboys not playing each year? I just think that's so strange. I think that would be almost unheard of, especially for people in Oklahoma. So anyway, and then also the whole blaming of ESPN because they've got two different interests in that. You and I are going to talk about that in future shows because that's going to be something that's going to be fishy that we're going to hit on. All right, Fish. Also, many U.S. fans miss this with the baseball and the Olympics happening. But Sunday night might have been the greatest win in American soccer history. The U.S. men's soccer team beat Mexico in Las Vegas to win the coveted Gold Cup. U.S. soccer ambassador Alexi Lalas says it was the greatest. Fish, you agree with him?
I watched the entire match. I'm not always the biggest soccer advocate, but I watched it. It was here in Las Vegas. I mainly watched it because it was the first sporting event to indoctrinate New Allegiant Stadium where my Raiders are going to be playing. But it was a brilliant match, and it's good to put soccer, U.S. soccer for the men, on a map because we're used to the U.S. women's soccer team being so great throughout the years, and they have a great marketing structure. But let's hope that this does for soccer what hopefully Miracle on Ice did for hockey back in 1980.
Yeah, and here's one of the things too: is a lot of those U.S. players are really good players. They could be playing over in Europe soon for more dough, don't you think?
Absolutely. A couple of guys have already signed with Italy. One guy signed with Barcelona. I like to keep him here in the MSL. But look, the Major League Soccer just signed a huge contract with Fox Sports. So they know something that we don't. And soccer is a sport we'll be looking at in the next 20 years is moving into the top echelon of our four major sports to be our fifth sport.
Yep, and we'll be watching it. All right, next, wheeling and dealing in baseball, the NHL and the NBA. That was outrageous last week. Now, we're going to grind on hockey and basketball in future shows, but baseball went nuts at the deadline. All-Stars changed uniforms like never before. Scherzer, Schwarber, Gallo, Rizzo, Bryant, and Marte, some of the big names that were out there. So, Fish, who won the trade deadline?
I think the Yankees and the Dodgers did. I mean, picking up Scherzer, look, Trevor Bauer's got his off-the-field issues. Kershaw's been injured, and they're still only 3 games behind the Giants. I like the Giants picking up Chris Bryant, but the Dodgers also got Dennis Duffy from Kansas City, and they got Trey Turner, another All-Star. What concerns me is that some of these teams, like the Nationals, had a fire sale. But look, you asked me who really did well in free agent in the trade deadline. The Yankees getting Gallo and Rizzo is really going to help that lineup. So we'll see. Know the Yankees 7 games out now with about 55 to go. So
yep.
Look at the Red Sox. We're picking up Schwarber. It's a big move for them.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, I don't know if they did enough, but at the same time, too, those four teams in the AL East, all of them are still in it. I mean, this is not over. It's not going to be over till September at the earliest, and you got to be 10 games out in September if that's going to happen. So anyway, I agree with you. I think the Yankees and the Dodgers. Finally, on the grind, NHL player Evander Kane might have some explaining to do. In 2019, the Cosmopolitan Casino sued Kane for not paying off a $500,000 gambling debt racked up while his Sharks played the Golden Knights in Vegas. But now, and get this, his estranged wife accuses him of actually betting on games he played in. That he vehemently denies. Fish, what are you hearing there?
Well, I know for a fact that he owed the Cosmopolitan money. That was just big time news on every single news media outlet here in Las Vegas. The bottom line is the one thing that could take all of us out of really watching our favorite sports is when you lose the integrity of the sports, and that's when you figure out that games are fixed. I have a funny feeling it didn't happen. People that know Evander Kane said, look, he's a nut job. He's a top 10 player in the league for the Sharks. I don't believe it. I don't want to believe it. But if it happened, would I be shocked? No.
Plus, he's got an incredible contract. He's still got a lot left on that contract, too. So, why would he do something like that? Now, my fear, it could hurt Vegas. We had the college hoop scandal back in the 70s that was stopped by the casinos. But if this is true, this has a touch of the 1919 Black Sox scandal. We'll be following this as well. All right, that is the Daily Grind. Questions or comments during the show, use the chat box, or you can email us at dailyfish1, the number 1, at gmail.com, or post to Facebook at daily.fish.5. Better yet, record yourself short and tight on your smartphone and send it to dailyfish1 at gmail.com. All right, it's time for some binge watching. Fish, I'm going to go first. I'm binging Dexter. The morally just serial killer is coming back for a 9th season in November after being gone for a number of years. Now, I love this show. It was dark and at times funny. I think it is good that it is coming back because I think the previous 2 years, the final 2 years they did, were not as good as the first 6. Fish, your thoughts on that, and then your binge.
I agree. I love Dexter. I like a lot of shows that Showtime does. Dexter, Weeds, Shameless. Who am I to say, but it looks like some of the writing sometimes, it looks like they mailed it in, and it left us as a viewer of, wait a minute, we had this great show for 4 years, and right now it's barely watchable. But I'm glad Dexter's coming back. I love that concept. So what I binge watched is something that's considered one of the 4 greatest shows of all time. Okay, so supposedly, and I agree with this, All in the Family, MASH, Bryan Cranston we had 2 weeks ago in Breaking Bad, and this show, The Sopranos, never had a bad episode. So I went back and binge watched with my wife all 7 seasons, and it was brilliant. And you really pick up the nuances of Tony Soprano's character and how miserable these guys really were. And I got Italian heritage in me a little bit. How we kind of deified these people, but they're all scumbags. But the acting, the writing was fantastic. And, look, it just came out that they're going to do a prequel. And James Gandolfini's son, Michael, is going to play Tony Soprano. It's good. I believe the movie's called The King of Newark, and it's coming out soon. So, and David Chase and the original writers from The Sopranos are going to be producing it and directing it. I can't wait.
Yeah, looking forward to that as well. All right, good points. All right, now something fishy. What do you have, Fish?
Again, how pissed off I always am, and my therapist says this is so great. You have this segment to vent all the crap that goes on in your system. So in late 1980s, my wife takes me to a Broadway musical. I wasn't into it, but it was called The Phantom of the Opera in Los Angeles. Michael Crawford, who starred in the show, okay, multiple Tony Award winner, couldn't go that night. So it was called The Understudy took over the lead. Phenomenal. You'd never know that this guy wasn't the lead in this musical. Where am I going with this? How does the National Football League blow the fact that the biggest commodity they have is a starting quarterback? And some of the backups they have in this league, the drop-off is blasphemous. I'm not trying to put these guys down, but Mike Glennon backs up Daniel Jones. Blaine Gabbert backs up Tom Brady. A rookie who's never played, Jordan Love, is backing up Aaron Rodgers. Geno Smith backs up Russell Wilson. Some of the great players in this game, and the drop-off is remarkable. So how does the NFL, which is the second most prosperous sports league in the goddamn world next to the English Premier League, allow this to happen, John? because we see it. We saw Aaron Rodgers go down 3 years ago, and the backup, I'm not going to mention his name, hurt the kid's feelings. He went 1-5. You don't have many games in the NFL to go 1-5. It's not baseball where you have 162 games. If you lose 5 in a row, you still got a chance to make it up. Okay? So I think the NFL has got to do what they did in the past. Steve Young waited 3 years for Joe Montana to step aside. Kenny Stabler waited 3 years for Del LaMonica to go away. I mean, Doug Flynn and Johnny Bench know these names, okay? It wasn't long ago. The last guy to do this was Aaron Rodgers, waited 3 years for Brett Favre to go away, and these guys walked into position and they were ready to play. Get it right, NFL.
Yep, I agree with you. Unfortunately, they sign these kids for really huge sums, and they want to get their money out of them as soon as possible. So, but yeah, good point. Good point. All right, still ahead, our Schmuck of the Week, along with Who's Got the Swag, plus our Drink of the Week with our special guest, considered the greatest catcher of all time, Johnny Bench, and Major League star known as the Glue, Doug Flynn. Again, thanks for tuning in. Again, we are Daily Fish. We are live on Facebook Tuesdays at 8 p.m. Eastern and 5 p.m. Pacific. We air on DBNA television on Roku, Amazon Fire, and soon Apple TV. We stream 24/7 on the DBNA television website at dbnatelevision.com. Follow and like us on Facebook at daily.fish.5 and subscribe on YouTube. All right, we've got our Schmuck of the Week. Who's been schmucky this week, Fish?
This is crazy. I can't do it laughing. Hey, Johnny and Doug, this is John's prom date. This is Ric Flair. Okay. Now, he's not really the schmuck of the week. It's the WWE for releasing him out of his contract. This is a 16-time World Wrestling Champion, all right? He's been doing it for 40 years. Allegedly, he had an affair with one of the girls that's a lady wrestler right now, and his daughter who wrestles, Ric Flair, got pissed off at him. It became a big thing. So the powers that be said, we're getting rid of this guy, okay? How can you get rid of a guy that is famous for admitting the fact that he drank 15 drinks a day and has slept with over 10,000 women? That's in your league, John. So he's not a schmuck, but the WWE is a schmuck. How do you get rid of your biggest commodity? Again, you don't have John Cena. I mean, you don't have The Rock. Ric Flair, woo! This guy's been around since we were all kids wrestling. I don't want to see him go out that way.
Yeah, I know a lot of people feel the same way you do, but if 15 drinks a day and sleeping with 10,000 women, you know what? He was just wrestling with them. That's all it was. All right. So who's got the swag? Let's see who's got the swag this week. Who are we toasting, Fish?
We're toasting this guy. I mean, this is a bad man. This is a really bad. This is Odell Beckham Jr., the wide receiver for the Cleveland Browns. Look at his teeth, everyone. Okay. That is 18 carats full of diamonds, $1.3 million in his grill. All right. I'm concerned. They called him the best dressed guy in the NFL. He's got great talent. This kid keep his head together and he can stay healthy. He's going to have Hall of Fame stats when it's all over. But what he did right there, I'm wondering, do you think that kind of stuff that goes in his teeth is going to give him bad breath, John?
It's the smell of gold, so it'd be pretty good. But from what I hear from doctors, they say don't do this at home because the diamonds in your mouth are so sharp they'll destroy the rest of your teeth. So what I say instead, send it to Daily Fish. That's what I would do.
Yeah. Well, he kept the front. Those are basically the molars. He kept the bicuspids. I mean, if you're in dental school, how the hell do you deal with that? I mean, that's crazy.
It's a golden opportunity, that's for sure.
What's this damn show going?
All right. And now we toast OBJ with our drink of the week. So what are we sipping here, Fish?
I got a great red wine blend. You know what? Why not? I mean, this is something that'll probably stain his teeth, but there's always a good red wine to drink every day. And hey, tough Tuesday, kid.
All right. And I got a margarita. But before we do that, our drink of the week is sponsored by Shucks Tavern in Vegas. Great seafood and drinks. In 2 locations, head to Shucks Tavern on North Durango on the northwest side of town, where Fish is overnight. Say Daily Fish Podcast, you get a free drink. Do it the next day, a free appetizer. That's Shucks Tavern. Check out Shucks Tavern on Facebook. All right, to join us now on the toast are our 2 special guests. First, he is a legendary baseball player. He played for 4 teams. He is known as the glue that kept the Big Red Machine together, and great. He is Doug Flynn, and with him is one of his teammates, a guy named Johnny Bench. Hey, wait a minute, Fish, did you let Flynn write that?
Yeah, I sure did.
Hey guys, welcome to Daily Fish.
I'll toast to that.
Where's John?
Johnny's right there. Can you? Doug's having a little problem with his internet there.
Hey.
All right, there we go. So we toast who's got the swag, but also
Okay.
I want you guys to also do another toast to my wife Terry, because you all three know her, and today is our 36th wedding anniversary. So
wow.
a toast to her.
Congratulations, Terry. Oh my gosh, that's fantastic.
Terry, you're
36
you're
years.
a saint. A saint to put up. Yeah.
Uh-oh.
There you go. And just so, did we lose Dougie? I think we lost Dougie.
Yeah. So.
He said he was having some connection problems. Let me get me straightened down in here.
Yeah, all right, well, we'll do that. Now, just so you know, myself. There you go. Johnny, just so you know, the drink is called a Tarita. It's a margarita that she inspired, and it's got tequila, Grand Marnier, and the secret ingredient is apricot brandy plus lime juice. So it's actually very good. And I know Doug had a red wine, so unfortunately we're not going to be able to get him to tell us that. Hopefully he's going to come back.
He's always a late replacement, but I've got a little mixture with Jose Cuervo, which comes self-contained in the bottle with a little Grand Marnier. But I add a touch of the cinnamon bourbon on Jack Daniel's bourbon that gives it just a little bit of zing. And I don't have someone to make my margaritas for me. After 36 years, you still have a wife that makes your margarita. That is awesome, my friend. Congratulations.
Well, thank you so much. And you're gonna see her in a couple of weeks too. So yeah, I think
nice
Dougie's coming back.
I don't know what this is. A great flag. Is that a flag of some country? Is that your home country?
Oh no, that's Fish's. What's your flag there, Fish?
That's my flag. That's a Raider. I'm as you can tell, Johnny. Look in the back. I'm a huge
Raider Nation.
Raider. There you go. Yeah.
Raider Nation. Yes.
That's it. So I mean,
got a lot of good friends on the Raiders. That was awesome, man. That was awesome. They're one of a kind and a unique group, and you get to have them in Vegas now. I know that's really exciting for you.
Sure is.
Hey, it's interesting, guys. I have a question about. Okay, now we've got this. All this betting on sports. They're all the sponsors. What is it, Fish? The sponsors of all the football, of baseball, and you know, it's like, and the shows. I mean, the shows are giving the odds and giving the, you know, and you talk about John. You talked about a guy who was making bets and everything else, and of course, an angry wife who, you know, turned him in supposedly. But here's a contract that would have still paid her another few $1 million on her alimony. It's kind of interesting for that, but DraftKings is now the number one thing, and everybody's got fantasies and everything else. And where do you go with this? And you know, who bets on what and how much is it worth and what are we doing? And you hear guys on the PGA Tour, you know, they're putting, and you hear a guy over on the side of the green jingling his pocket with his change. You know, this is. I don't know where we're going with this, but they're paying some of these sports a lot of money. But at the same time, we're putting a lot of these people in jeopardy and giving them too many opportunities to go the wrong way.
I think you're absolutely right. And I think a lot of it is that, you know, our attention deficit disorder really, and not only as a nation, but it's just, we need different things. You just can't watch a game and enjoy it. You got to have these other things going on at the same time too.
Yeah, I remember my buddy, it was interesting. We were in the suite with Bob Hope and my buddy that we called him the Squirrel. And we were up in the suite in Cincinnati. This is back in the early 70s. And the Squirrel, who couldn't rub two nickels together, but he loved to bet on football. And he's trying to turn on the TV on the suite real quietly. We're up there and he's trying to turn this on so he doesn't disturb anybody, but he's got to bet on the football game. And he's over there. All of a sudden, Hope says, "Hey, who's winning?" You know, like he had his chart out and everything else. He had his page out for all the bets he had and everything else. And they're both sitting there. I mean, the kickoff, they're going, oh my God. Oh, I said, it's the kickoff. This isn't something that, what are we doing here? This is a kickoff, because I never bet. So I didn't have a clue how excited you could be over just a kickoff. Then back then you didn't have whether he fumbled it or not. Now you got all these, prop bets? Is that what it's called?
That's the big thing. You know, my brother will only bet prop bets, Johnny, during the Super Bowl. He'll bet whether or not Rob Gronkowski's wearing blue or yellow underwear. He bets. You know what Johnny, you know what the biggest bet was that my brother won on? Is whether or not the Kansas City Chiefs would score a touchdown in the last Super Bowl, because they scored in 43 straight games, and he bet that they wouldn't. All right, and it was 500-1. So I mean, that's the fun thing about it. Getting back to FanDuel and DraftKings, there's rumors out there. It's not substantiated, but there might be a few Major League Baseball owners and NFL owners that are involved as investors in these institutions. So are you shocked?
Are you shocked?
Oh, yeah. Would you be shocked?
Is there money to be made? These guys are billionaires and they got money to be made. Yeah, I'm on that side of the ledger too. You know, I want to have a marijuana dispenser. I mean, I want to have all this stuff that's going to make me $1 million, and I want to be up there like Daly. I want to just be relaxed, have a woman wait on me, give me margaritas, marry her 36 years, do all that stuff. I'm looking for that kind of thing.
Yeah. Excuse me as I toke.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Medicinal, of course.
Yeah. You know, Johnny, I'm a baseball purist. I'm in my early 60s, so I go back. I was a kid. Couldn't stand you as a kid because I grew up in L.A. and, you know, I'm 15 years old. You're taking the thunder away from my Dodgers. And all the crap I'm hearing is Steve Yeager's as good as Johnny Bench. BS. I'll say it. Bullshit. He's not. Johnny Bench is Johnny Bench. But John and I always talk about ways to bring back the passion of the game. And one thing, we actually did a reenactment of this on one of our podcasts, is I played Earl Weaver and he played one of the umpires. Now you had Sparky Anderson, Dick Williams, Tommy Lasorda, Lou Piniella, all these guys. Shouldn't they bring back the confrontations, Johnny, between the umpires and the managers? Because if you go on YouTube and listen to some of the diatribes and the dialogue, there's more F-bombs and what mothers would do to your genitals I've ever heard in anything. It's worse than The Sopranos. Don't we need that to spice up the game?
Well, for a while we had guys that were the gunslingers. You know, we had the young guys that came in and they were the sons of the fathers and everything else. And I guess they really believed that people came out to watch them umpire. And we went through this whole 9 yards about how if you complained one time, they would watch you. They would follow you. They would actually turn their heads and watch you go to the dugout, hoping you could turn around so they could throw you out. This was one of their grand moments in their lives and everything else. Now it's come to the point where, hey, it doesn't matter. And have you ever, John, Eric, have you ever seen, before the instant replay, have you ever seen a manager or player ever win an argument or win change a decision? So after a while, you give it up. I mean, this is like being married for 36 years. You don't win. You don't win. You just shut up and go get a margarita and ask your wife, would you like some wine? I'd love to have some wine with you.
You know what, John? I've been married 32 years. You know what oral sex is after 30 years?
Talking in the hallway.
Exactly. You walk down the hallway and say, screw you, and she says, screw you back.
Well, I'm sorry, Fish. You have no charisma. You have nothing going for you. Why is this shocking to everyone at this point? 32 years? I'll give you a very good example. This is what my father told me when I left to go play pro baseball. He said, from 20 to 30, if a man lives right, it's once in the morning and once at night. From 30 to 40, if he still lives right, he'll leave off the morning or he'll leave off the night. From 40 to 50, it's now and then. From 50 to 60, it's God knows when. From 60 to 70, if a man's still inclined, don't let him fool you, lady. It's all in his mind. So
your dad was a poet.
And Eric, you've been going without it for 20 years, so let's just forget about all this stuff.
Lost cause. It's a lost cause, trust me. You know. you marry almost a full-blooded Scottish girl, forget it. And I'm not going to piss anybody off here, but you know what? They did pretty good beating up on the British back in the day, so.
There you go.
You know, hey, we talk about the sport today and everything else, but let's just face it. I mean, we talk radio and everything are really assassins. They assassinate the character of the players. You watch 24/7. You see sports. You see the negative things. You hear how negative it is. You go to, let's just say you're decide to go to the game in LA, and you're a couple of hours away. What do? You talk on sports talk. You turn on sports talk radio. By the time you get to the ballpark, you're already ready to boo 3 of those guys who are having horrible slumps and who haven't pitched well. And they say, I love minor league baseball. And of course we do. We go to the ballpark, we buy a hot dog, we buy a beer, and we sit there and watch these kids play their hearts out. But we don't have a predisposition about all of these guys to begin with. They're making too much money. They're overrated. They're doing all this stuff. They're in a slump. They should be getting better. Why is the Dodgers not winning? Why are they ahead? How do you take Trey Turner and, you got Seager? Seager's one of the greatest players in baseball. So it's kind of interesting to see all of this, to see the trades made. And a lot of teams have shed a lot of salaries. And, nobody's going to come in September to watch these games, and it's still a bottom line. And after last year and watching the COVID thing, they've got to make some decisions.
Johnny, you didn't have a lot of stuff going on. You had some stuff at the trading deadline when you were playing, but nothing like it is today. Do you think this is hurting the game?
I think we've become so used to it now. I think we've been conditioned to it. Everybody knows, and you got, for 4 weeks, you're already talking about who. I mean, I open up MLB channel and they're already talking about the 15 guys who are going to be traded and who fits which team. They've already got the scouting. They've got the logistics. They got the analytics. They know who's going to fit with what team. They're going to make this deal and everything else. The Padres didn't win because they didn't come up with anything. That the Giants needed somebody who gets Scherzer. You're trying to buy a playoff. You're trying to buy at least a wild card. And it's just a matter of manipulation. And that these teams are saying, hey, we're not going to win. We're not going to win. Let's just shed some of this. I mean, Scherzer's 37. As good a pitcher as there is in baseball. And you got to say, hey, he's not going to help us in 2 or 3 years. Let's go get a couple of their prospects. Let's come up with something good. These people are willing to, sell their souls to win a pennant. Oh, Doug Flynn decides he's going to come back in. Go upstairs, Doug. He got his glasses on one shot. He's got his thumb up on another side.
Dougie, can you hear us?
2, 3.
He's trying.
He's got his hands on his face.
Audio problems.
Yeah.
5 of them having all kinds of tonight.
Hey, it's Jerry Lewis.
We're
Johnny,
internet here.
Johnny, if you can, because poor Dougie's not getting on here. Can you tell the story of the glue?
I swear I can't hear it.
You can?
He can't. He reads lips, but he's very good.
I'm going to go get some glue in a minute.
Say, hold up signs. Eric, can you get some placards? Can you get some cards up and everything else, some cue cards? And we'll say, how you doing, Doug? And he'll say, fine. The glue absolutely says, well, Doug was there in 75 and 76.
I want you to see my shirt anyway.
I mean, he was such a great second baseman for us when Joe, or he could play short or whatever. And the thing was that, we won in 75 and 76. Those were the 2 years that he was there. So he's got this thing. And of course, he's trying to say, oh, what a great shirt he's got on now. Anyway, but at the same time, it was like, he was saying, did you win again? No, we didn't win again. So he goes through this whole process of the glue. And it's a wonderful little fun, farcy thing that he does it. But in fact, it's the truth. And then, of course, I got him traded. I traded him to New York.
For Tom Seaver.
I was in the locker room, and I had a phone call back in the equipment room, and it was a guy named Art Richmond, who was a PR guy for the Mets. He said, John, we're going to make a trade for Seaver if you can tell us about Norman, Henderson, Zachary, and tell me about Doug Flynn, and tell me about these guys. And I wanted Doug to have a chance to play. He needed to go somewhere. He needed a chance to play. He was ready to play every day. And so we had some great prospects. And that's when they made the trade that night, was for Doug. And he goes up and wins a Gold Glove. And that's pretty special.
And for Tom Seaver on top of it.
Tom Seaver, who went 14-2. He was okay.
Yeah, he did a pretty good job. That's for sure. Yeah. So let me ask you this, since all the stuff that's going on with the pine tar in baseball. Does the glue have anything to do with that?
They have named a spider glue or something, and I thought it was named after Doug. I don't know, but there's some spider glue or something that it's a combination of it. I mean, he's always been an enterprising young man who will try everything and anything. We had pine tar rags that some of our pitchers would grab the rag and rub their fingers to try to get a little better grip. Then they decided that they would change the seams on the baseball, smaller seams, so it was kind of like a cue ball. So it was hard to get a grip and throw the breaking ball and everything else. But it's really kind of amazing. You know, the kid Glass now up in Tampa Bay, and, you know, we see when all of a sudden Cole now is giving up 5 and 6 runs.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden you're thinking, you know, because he threw 98, 99. So it wasn't like you thought he had to have a grip. The breaking ball was decent, but now you kind of wonder, you know, and these guys are complaining about how they're going to get a grip on the ball. So I've never heard of most of this stuff. All I knew was pine tar. So all this stuff is new to me. And, you know, I'm down here in Florida with a lot better things to do, like getting a 12-year-old and a 15-year-old. Well, he had a science project that he's got to do for summer reading. So we had to do one chapter today.
See, that's pretty good.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I mean, I've got a great life. You know, it's keeping me young and everything else. Margaritas will balance out my life when I needed to. And of course, as you know, I mean, I'll see you next week, week or so, for the Hope for the Warriors that we've been involved with for a long time. It's an organization for 15 years that Doug and I have been involved with, and we've been co-chairman of it. And it's in Wallace, North Carolina. We got a big soiree coming up on the 15th, and tickets are available for $250. We got Lee Greenwood is going to be performing, and I think a group called the Mango Band or Bar, but whatever they are, they're great. But we'll be up there, and I think the thing, as you know, John, because you've been a great part of it, is that to see these Warriors and see what we've done from having them 70% of those were all having new parts put on, new body parts and everything else. And you listened to them and you heard them talking about how they wanted to get back in and they wanted to go back to Afghanistan. They wanted to serve our country. But the thing that resonated the most with me was these kids that had gone in for life and now they're injured and they're out. You know, as a lifer, you're going to get a pension, but now they're out of the service. They have nothing. So we have, as the Hope for the Warriors now, 70% of our work is psychological. And we work with psychiatrists and everything else throughout the country to try to get these kids. It was started in Camp Lejeune 15 years ago. And now we try to get these kids who still are suffering from PTSD. And it's such a great thing to see these guys. And then we have 25 flag officers, lieutenant generals, brigadier generals, major generals that come to our event. And you know, there's so many out there. I won't, you know, I know that there are a lot of different organizations out there. Hope for the Warriors, 87 cents out of every dollar goes to help our Warriors. And we really appreciate you being there as a part of that because you've seen how it goes.
No, absolutely. And, you know, for more information, all you have to do is go for hopeforthewarriors.org. And if you want to be a part of it, it's in Wallace, North Carolina. It's near Wilmington. It's a great place. And Johnny, one of the things, too, that I think so cool about it is when you play in this event, you actually play with one or two of the Warriors. So you get to be with them. Some of them, you're right, have had, you know, something physical, but they've also had the PTSD. But it's such a great time playing golf with them. So you really get to talk to them. You really get to enjoy them. And at the same time, too, it's kind of therapy for them as well.
Oh, you can't even believe it. They love it. They love the challenge. They love the fact that, you know, they've got an artificial leg. They're able to play golf. They got an artificial arm. They're ready to play golf. They want to be out there. They want to still show. They're so competitive in what they do. And I'm telling you, it is heartwarming to see these guys and to see our people come out year after year and support this. And I believe it's the technology company that is sponsoring us this year. And I'll look that up, but I don't know if you have that. But
you know, I don't.
I've got it on this thing. So
okay.
Aaron, well, it's a No, by Siemens Government Technology. It's scheduled for Sunday, August 15th at River Landing. That and it's poolside. Kicks off at 6 p.m. and will feature performance by Lee Greenwood, who will be singing "God Bless the USA." And it is unbelievable. We are so blessed to have our sponsors down there. And River Landing is one of those great golf courses. Two of them actually that we play on, and we are blessed to see our warriors. I say our Marines, because we basically are a Marine base, and we go up to Camp Lejeune. We have lunch with the guys. We get to do a few little wonderful things with the different groups, and we're blessed to be there. We really are.
So how did you get involved with this? Because I think we got involved really about 15 years ago at the same time. How did you get involved? Because you're really a big part of it.
Well, we had a celebrity tournament actually at the golf course there on Camp Lejeune, and it was really a celebrity tournament called the CGA, Celebrity Golf Association.
Yep.
And so we played in it, and they found out that they weren't making a lot of money, and they felt we can do this better. I remember General Dickerson, who was the base commander, and he still tells the story. And I have to say it for myself, because I'm standing on the first tee and I'm getting ready to tee off, and the phone rings. There's a phone rings while I'm getting ready to tee off. And I looked over at the person. I said, "Who's that?" And he said, it's my son from Afghanistan calling. I said, "Give me that phone." And I went over and talked to him for about 5 or 10 minutes. And, it sort of just grabs at you right there. It's just part of the Murphy family, Wendy and Dell and the father. It's they own the River Landing. They open it up. We get to go to the boars and sing and karaoke. And, karaoke is a Japanese word for tone deaf. I don't know if you ever knew that. And it combines the two worst traits in people who shouldn't drink with people who shouldn't sing. So, but we have a great time, and the generals that come, and we have Coast Guard, Air Force, we have a Navy, they all love it. We have the Warrior Knight, where the 4-star General Spider Nyland resides over, along with John Kepka. It is something to behold. We have a wonderful auction. We have wonderful people there. We've got better sponsors now all the time. Food Line was a huge sponsor for a long time. All these people have been great people, and let's face it, we're helping those guys that served us, and we have to be thankful.
Yep. And again, that event is the August 14th through the 17th. Again, it's called Hope for the Warriors. Johnny, Doug, and I will be there. It's in Wallace, North Carolina. That's near Wilmington. Again, we play 2 great golf courses at River Landing. It's the website is hopeforthewarriors.org. And if you get a chance, go take a look. If you can join us, come join us. It's a great event. It's a ton of fun. Johnny, I got to ask you too about the fact. I've actually done other events with you and Dougie, and you guys have stolen the microphone from like the Gatlin brothers and started singing. You two should be out on your own, don't you think?
Well, Doug is a singer. Now, Doug is sung with all these groups and bands and everything else. I know the words. I sang Running Bear in the 6th grade. So, and Mrs. Bowen, my music teacher, gave me a B. So I can't even begin to tell you that everybody thinks, okay, he can, he knows the words, he can sing. And I have always loved music. I've had songwriters, Mike Deacle. I've had all these people that have been friends of mine for years. And they said, you know more words to more songs than any human being I've ever do. And the other night I was with Brad Paisley at his concert. And, Toby's a great friend of mine. And I'm such a country music fan. And, but it's part of me. And for whatever reason, and my boys are 15 and 12, they seem to know all the words to all the songs, and they just pick it up, and it's part of what I've even got my 15-year-old starting to play the piano. I'm so proud of that. But
nice.
Yeah, Dougie and I have done this for a while, and he had a little throat surgery and everything else. He'd had some problems with that, but he's back in full voice, and he's singing with a lot of the different groups. Lone Star has been guys and friends of his for years, and they start to do these things around town. It's something, it's in you. It's just something that's inside of you that says you love music, and all you want is a chance to do it. And I think we all wanted to be, if we gave up our careers in baseball, we probably would have wanted to sing for years or play golf or whatever. So I'm getting the best out of it. And of course, at 73, I'm starting to get past that. The chords are starting to change on me, and not too much. Before, I would just get up and sing. Nobody had to ask. I mean, a couple of margaritas, I was singing Bad Leroy Brown. In fact, when I retired, Bobby Goldsboro brought me an album. Oh, here it is. There it is. You see it?
Wow.
Yeah.
Bobby
Not for
Goldsboro.
having sold 1 million copies, but for having sung Leroy Brown 1 million times. So,
one thing, Johnny, that I looked up, I'm looking at your resumes, and one thing that was really impressive was the fact that Doug Flynn went on tour with the Oak Ridge Boys in 1976. That's huge.
That and the Gatlin Brothers, every time we're anywhere with them, they ask Doug to come up because he can sing. He's got harmony. He's got everything. I'm jealous of him. He wasn't as good at baseball, and I hate to say that in front of him, but he's got much better pipes than I thought I would ever have.
Right. One thing I'm interested in is that the process of a long season in baseball, Johnny, is the road trips. And back when you played, the National League West comprised of the Houston Astros, Atlanta Braves, also the Dodgers, the Padres, and the Giants. What city had the best hotels, the best amenities, and the best extracurricular activities? And you don't have to go into too much detail, but what city did you enjoy the most? Look at him.
As John will say, there wasn't any bad towns. So anyway, we would say we took a trip. We played an afternoon game. We flew to San Francisco. We got in there at 1 o'clock in the morning, which is 4 o'clock, Eastern time. Got our bags, went to bed. We played 4 games. We went to LA. We got in there at 2 o'clock in the morning, got our bags at 3:30. We went to bed. We flew to Houston, got in at 5 a.m. in the morning. I didn't even wait for the bags. I went to bed. I picked them up the next morning. We played a 3-game series there. We flew to Cincinnati. I got in there at 4 in the morning. I slept 5 hours and played golf. I mean, it's just like, this is the hardest part. What people don't understand, these aren't Oral Roberts uniform. They don't heal you. We keep thinking these idiots that were the owners and all these people, they trade for somebody that is just, wow, he'll be great with us. These aren't Oral Roberts uniforms. They don't heal. They don't heal people. If you've been hurt, we had a guy that played 12 years in the major league. He played with us a couple of years. He was on the disabled list 6 years. They had 6 whirlpools named after him. The SS Henderson. These are guys that, after a while, you just sort of like, if I had played the whole year, I would have hit 43 home runs and driven in 140 runs. Well, you're only there half the time. So you look at these guys and they're hurt and they're going to get hurt and they're going to stay hurt. And it's like, what are you going to do? I mean, the best cities. Well, the best beds were, after a while, it didn't go anywhere. I mean, we love San Diego because of the weather. We love the fact that they had the Old Town Mexican Cafe down in Old Town. You could have your Mexican food. You could have the girl. Did I say girls? You could have a great time. You could have a great time. You didn't want to be in New York City. It was such a horrible bus ride and everything else and all the things in the traffic. You wanted simplicity. Chicago was everything was daytime. And you'd go out there in the first 2-3 innings and the ground was soft. And then by the 4th inning, the ground was as hard as concrete and you couldn't get your cleats in it. So when you catch 54 days in a row fish without a day off, you didn't care what the bed was. You could have slept on the floor.
All right. We were talking to Doug Flynn, former Major League Baseball player and current TV host known as
He's texting me every now and then.
He is. Okay. He's trying to get on. He's having some internet problems. We're also talking with Hall of Famer Johnny Bench, considered by most, us included, as the greatest catcher of all time. He was a 2-time MVP, 14-time All-Star, led the National League in homers twice and RBIs 3 times. Again, this is Daily Fish. Thanks for joining us. And Johnny, we got something we kind of want to show you. Take a look at this. Do you recognize that?
Well, Doug didn't want that on. That's all I can say. He didn't want that. He was the glue. As you can see, that hand's about ready to stick to this guy's ass. And it is something that we would have avoided at all costs. I can't believe we pulled this up for Doug. And too bad you're not on, Doug, to defend all this. But I'm sorry. You had a great one. You had a body like that and everything else. If you'd had a body like that, you would have been in the starting lineup every day.
All right. So here's what it is. We had a guest on yesterday, Ken Hine. He's a longtime friend of mine. He was at World Series Game 4 in 1976, where you guys swept the Yankees. And now about 10 years later, Ken gets married, and he is told by his brother-in-law that was him. That was his future brother-in-law. And so I was going to tell Doug he's no longer a suspect now that this has come out. So do you remember that?
No.
You don't?
No. It was so bitterly cold out there and everything else. I don't know. I mean, after a while in New York, you don't notice anything. It's always the same. It's the same parade, the same deal. You get all that stuff and everything else. I really don't. I mean, first of all, it's 36, 34 degrees. This guy's running out on the field like this. And this is somebody that says, that's my future and brother-in-law.
Yeah.
You got to be so proud. You really have to do that. That's somebody we want in the family. Okay. I mean, who's the father? Who's the mother? For heaven's sake, what are you doing here? You're running out on the field with no clothes. It's like, what are you doing? It's like, oy vey, I gotta have a deal with.
Hey, Fish, Johnny's Jewish. This is great.
Oh, yeah. Mensch. Schneider. It looked like the Snyder. He misspelled it, but it's okay.
Hey, if I got to deal with you goddamn goyim every time I do a podcast, I don't know. I'm going to go Michigan.
Exactly like I am. I mean, you got to come up. We're going to have the Hall of Fame, and Koufax can't come because it's one of those holidays. I mean, you move those holidays around so you can figure out which one you want to do. And how you can do Christmas and then do all of a sudden all the Jewish people want to have Christmas and Hanukkah. I mean, it's like, which one do you want? Yeah, we do both. I made a Gaijin. Oh, that's American. That's a Japanese for American girl. Yeah.
Fish, you got to give Johnny Uncle Izzy. You got to so he can understand Uncle Izzy language.
My grandfather Izzy, we told this on our podcast a couple weeks ago. He would say, "There's never been a pitcher better than," and he always put a Steen and a Berg after your name. So he'd say, "There's never been a pitcher better than Sandy Koufax Steen." All right? they have a sandwich full of named the Cantor's Delicatessens on Fairfax. Do you think they have a goddamn sandwich named after Claude Osteen? No. But let me tell you something. This Johnny Bench boy that you got on your show, he's a nice boy.
We have Izzy Cadets.
Rest in
Cadets
peace.
in Cincinnati. Izzy Cadets was a delicatessen. I went down there all the time. They have the pancakes. I had the Reuben. I had the thing. I did it all, and what it is. But, oh, yeah. I mean, they were talking about, performance-enhancing drugs. I mean, here was Koufax being shot up for the World Series. They started doing the cortisone and all the stuff and everything else back in the days. But, man, what a pitcher what he was. So he's not going to be at the Hall of Fame this year because it's, I guess it's Hanukkah or whatever. I don't know which holiday.
Well, no, Hanukkah. It'd be Rosh Hashanah or Yom Kippur.
Well, it's September 8th, whatever it is.
Yeah.
John, you would know that. What is it?
Yeah, it's right there. I'll go to my Jewish calendar and I'll tell you in a second. It's one or the other. I'll guarantee you that. So, hey, Johnny, we probably got about 5 minutes or so. Most people don't realize how you kind of revolutionized catching. Your ability to stop that low in the dirt pass ball was legendary. Explain how you did it, that you actually got yourself suited up into gear while warming up the pitchers in the bullpen. Was it just you were afraid to get hit in the nuts?
I broke my thumb. I broke
That's right.
thumb twice. I'm like, there's the thumb. Look at it. It's like fake. I got a foul ball. I went up from Class A to AAA. Broke my thumb in the third batter, fouled one off, hit it. I go to Cincinnati at the end of 67. I'm going to pick off a guy at first, and I turn to throw it out, and the guy foul tipped it, and this burst open. This burst all the way open. There's a scar right there where it burst open, and it was showing all this stuff. I said, this is stupid. I can't be in the lineup every day. And when I went to the one-handed glove, I have no flexibility, John. I've never touched my toes in my life. I have no bend. I have nothing. I have no flexibility, so I had to do it. I have a book called Catch Every Ball, How to Handle Life's Pitches. Well, you have to, and people say, my kid wants to be a catcher. What do I tell them? I said, catch every ball. Catch every ball. It's like, it's like life. It's like business. If you know the answers to this and everybody says, he caught every ball, he's a great catcher. So you learn to do the way you can with your body or with your mind and how it works. So I wound up catching every ball, and I backhanded stuff. And, Graziola said I will ruin catchers and everything else. And I learned the transfer, and I learned the stuff. And it was a work in progress. And, I was surrounded by some of the greatest athletes, greatest ball players in the history of the game. It was a labor of love. Every time you went to the ballpark, here's Perez, here's Morgan, here's Rose, here's Griffey, here's Concepcion, Geronimo Foster, and Doug Flint. I mean, you were blessed, and so we had a pretty darn good team. And the great thing about it today, people still say, God, I hated you guys like Fish does, but I really respected you guys.
You ruined my childhood.
I really respected you guys.
Huh. I had nightmares about Pete Roy. Another great player. No, Bobby Tolan was a great player.
There you go.
Yeah, he was the guy no one talks about. You ruined my childhood because I'm a diehard Dodger fan. And we go from Walter Austin, who's a manager who fell asleep in the dugout, till DeSorto was on. He's probably on crystal meth back then. And we thought we had a chance against you guys, and you ruined me. Can you tell me though? Because we in Los Angeles had a lot of respect for Sparky Anderson. Tell everyone about Sparky Anderson and what he meant to your career.
Sparky was a friend, a manager, a mentor.
Right.
I was my first day out of the clubhouse in spring training. He stopped me first time, and he stopped me as I was coming out of the clubhouse in spring training. He said, John, let me ask you a question. What would you think if we took batting practice on this field, infield over there, pitchers over there, outfield over there? And for the first time in my life, I thought I was a professional. He thought I had a brain. And from that time on, he would ask us. He would call me in, or he would call all three of us in, Pete, Joe, Tony, myself, or he would call us in individually. He says, what do you think about John Daly? Would he be good on our team? We say, yeah. What about this? He would, yeah. What about Jack? No. And he wanted to know our thoughts. But then he managed, and he was 3 innings ahead of everybody else. And he knew how to handle people. He knew how to do everything else. And it was an absolute, he had respect for us, and he gained respect from us. And it was just amazing. And of course, he had great players. I told Sparky, I said, Sparky, when he was walking down the aisle in the plane, I said, if you'll keep your feet out of the aisles and not trip anybody, we'll make you a star. But we loved Sparky Anderson. I miss him so much.
Yeah. Talk about how and we only got about 2 minutes left, Johnny, but how he actually brought everybody in and said, hey, Perez, bench, you guys don't have you have a different thing. Everybody else has got to be in at this time, and you other guys don't. And you said that, wow, that's kind of strange. But there was a reason behind that. Talk about that.
Well, we had 25 players that were going to go north, and he called us all in. And he says, all right, you 25 players are going north. Pete, Joe, Tony, Johnny, you don't have rules. You can do whatever you want. I'm thinking, oh, right, I don't have to worry about coming through the kitchen or curfew or anything else. Then it dawned on me, how brilliant. And he went on for a little bit. And he said, you other 21s, you got to be in at this hour. You got a curfew. You got all this stuff. I'm going to be checking on you. And he said, you know why there's two rules? Because I don't have to worry about those guys. They know how to be champions. They know what it takes. And so it put it on us, but that's part of it. That was part of the leadership role. You don't need somebody to be raw. You need somebody to be on time, to be the person in the position where he's not worried about the bus. He's not getting special treatment. He's the guy that's out there on the field. He's the guy playing hard every day. He sets the example. You don't have to, let's go, you guys, let's go. Well, what a load of crap that is. you got to go out there and prove it every day. You're the one behind the plate. You know, you got 54 days in a row without a day off. Yeah, go ahead and catch that, pal. You're the last one out of the dugout. You're the last one off the plane. It hurts. Everything hurts. But it's something that you wanted. This is what you grew up to be when you were, 3.5 years old, and you're watching on TV and you say, I want to be a Major League Baseball player. And my dad said, well, catching is the best way to the major leagues and what the major leagues needed. So, and then of all things, to get drafted by the Reds and to be on one of the greatest teams. And now to be on one of the greatest podcasts in the history of the air. There we go.
All right. We have been talking to Doug Flynn, unfortunately, who couldn't be with us because of technical reasons. But we've also been talking to Hall of Famer Johnny Bench, considered by most, us included, as the greatest catcher of all time. Now, check out the big golf event Johnny, Doug, and I will be a part of. It's go to hopeforthewarriors.com. It's the Hope for the Warriors Invitational. And Johnny, thank you so much. How many?
How old are you?
I'm 65.
Oh, so Fish is the youngest, 63.
He's a youngster. Yeah.
Yes, but he's living the life. He's out there.
Absolutely.
He's in the book every day, making the stuff and everything else. Yeah.
Yeah, he makes this go.
And Raider Nation, go with it, Fish. Enjoy being with you guys.
Let me tell you something, Johnny. Whatever life is, it is. It's it.
God, you're so deep sometimes. I'm telling you, no wonder you have this podcast. How in the hell could you not have a podcast with the depth of, Confucius and Mao and all the guys that go with it? Yeah.
Johnny, thank you so much. I'll see you in about a week or so, and looking forward to talking. We're going to bring you back on again.
Thank you, guys.
All right, brother. Appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you. Nice meeting you.
Thank you, Fish.
Appreciate it. All right. Coming up, Fish, we're going to wrap things up. I'm going to tell you about next week's show and guests. I'm going to give you a little bit of one of our sponsors here, the Myrtle Beach Golf Trail. If you want to go get a golf getaway, you can go to the courses in North Carolina, set up an entire trip for yourself, your family, or a bunch of friends. The site is myrtlebeachgolftrail.com. Play there year round. Fish, God, I felt really bad that we lost Dougie. We got to get Doug on here again because Doug's hysterical also, and he's got great stories as well. So hopefully when he gets better internet. But before we go, hey, we have another great guest next week.
Right. The hell with Doug Flynn when you could have Johnny Bench. Why would you want to have chopped liver when you could have gefilte fish? We do. Stephen Root's coming on next week. Great character actor. You've seen him in a million things. Man in the High Castle, True Blood. I mean, when you see this guy, you're going to say, wow. I've seen this man in a million cinematic and TV shows.
Absolutely. We're looking forward to that. And so we got about 2 minutes left here. 2 minutes left?
I just want to say, we lost a big fan of the show and a really good friend of mine. Rest in peace, Richie Moore, a lifelong Vegas native, a mechanic who was a big Dallas Cowboy fan. And when I told him we're doing the podcast, this guy said, I wish you all the best. And he passed away last week, and we just want to toast him and say, hey, heaven got a great mechanic and a better soul. And that's that.
Yeah, very, very sad. All right, good. So real quick, was Johnny what you expected to be, huh?
This is, look, you know me. I told you this off camera. I don't get giddy over actors, no offense, but when you get someone that you really, really idolize as an athlete, I always look at athletes as the greatest thing on the planet because when an actor screws up a take, they could say cut and do it again. They stay in their trailer. When Johnny Bench has an error and the guy scores and they win the run, you can't do it. There's no do-overs.
Yeah.
And his personality and his sense of humor, just the fact that he doesn't have his own podcast to compete against us, thank God. But
absolutely.
John, I'll tell you what, and this whole thing, the golf tournament you're doing, it's touching. I've always felt this, and I'll talk for you. I think the real heroes in the world are our soldiers. And the fact that you're helping these people out, the guys that come back, and you mean so much to them, and we can raise money to help these people. Johnny Bench is not only a legend on the field, but he's a legend as a person.
He really is. And again, it's hopeforthewarriors.org. Real briefly, I was talking to a friend, Larry Shapiro, tonight. He said he met Johnny back in the 70s, was at Johnny Bench's home plate restaurant in Cincinnati. And he goes, back then, Johnny took the time to talk to him. That's Johnny Bench. So that was another great story. All right. Remember, Daly, go ahead. I was going to say
Well,
Daily Fish is live from Vegas.
Happy
Oh,
anniversary
oh, oh.
to you. I went to myself, so go ahead, man. I'm proud of you.
Thanks,
So,
buddy. I appreciate
take
it.
out.
Terry says the same thing too. Remember, we are Daily Fish. We're live from Vegas and Myrtle Beach. Catch us on DBNA television, on Roku, and all that. And if you can, drop us a line at dailyfish1@gmail.com. We will see you next week. Fish, thanks, buddy.
Thank you.